We all know that you're not allowed to use the Grinch in your marketing, for your parties, for your events, for your photo shoots, because it's a copyrighted entity. And if you don't know that, we have a lawyer on the show. We'll link that episode down below. But can you use the Grinch's likeness and just call him something like the mean one and get away with it? Let's talk to everybody's favorite IP and entertainment lawyer, Tony, to find out more.
My name is Tony Iliakostas. I'm an adjunct professor of entertainment law and IP at New York Law School, and I have an Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok account called The IP Professor that's dedicated to all things intellectual property.
Tony, we've been talking a lot about whether or not people are allowed to use the Grinch in photo shoots, in their marketing, for parties and events, and we have a really good built-out episode for that. We're going to link that down below, but we did have a follow-up question from quite a few people wondering whether or not they can use the Grinch's likeness and call him something like the mean one and still be legally protected.
So the answer to that's going to be a firm no, and there are a lot of reasons why, but let's kind of break it down. The Grinch likely is a registered trademark. So we know that it belongs to Dr. Seuss Enterprises. They're going to strictly enforce those rights. The character as a whole also is under copyright law. So the rendition of the Grinch, obviously this green fuzzy figure with the furrowed eyebrows, with the long hands, all of that is under the copyright of Seuss Enterprises as well. If you're going to transform that the name of the character, still using like the inherent derivative nature of the Grinch and calling him the mean one, you're still violating a lot of intellectual property laws, but mainly in this case, you're violating the derivative work right that vests with the copyright owner in this scenario. So by calling the Grinch the mean one, it's a derivative of the origin work, obviously Dr. Seuss's Grinch, but then not to mention, you know, the if you're not really manipulating or changing the character, like, you know, design, let's say we're talking about like a book illustration of the Grinch, or if you have marketing related to the Grinch or any use of the character, you manipulate it in a way where it's very minor, but it's not an overall transformation of the character, you're still doing something that would qualify as a derivative work of the origin copyright. So all that to say, at the end of the day, when you're talking about using any sort of variation of that origin character, you have to think to yourself, how much is this similar to the Grinch itself? Will this cause some sense of confusion by consumers? That actually sparks more to the question of trademark law, since trademarks are all about ensuring brand protection and preventing consumer confusion. But even from the copyright perspective, is it substantially similar? Is there a substantial similarity between the Grinch and the mean one? And arguably, you could say it is, because the lyrics for the song are, "You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch," literally side by side to each other. Same thing goes with the rendition of the character. So bottom line, your best bet is to just avoid it at all costs. Come up with a new character. I'm sure that it could carry on with, you know, popularity if there's enough buzz. You may very well become the next Dr. Seuss by coming up with a really fun, evil, you know, character that's in the Christmas lore. And I'll even throw one out there. Mr. Stinky Socks. There you go. Come up, use that as your next character for your Christmas novel, for a mean character. And who knows, maybe Mr. Stinky Socks is going to kick off and, you know, push Mr. Grinch to the curb.
We may have to watch to see if that's in the next Macy's parade. Oh my goodness, words. We're going to see if it's in the next parade. That'll be a great float. We've got the Grinch and we've got Mr. Stinky Stocks. If you have further questions, let's go ahead and drop those down below. We want to make sure we're getting your questions answered on the legal side of your business. We want to make sure you're not making any silly faux pas as we are moving forward that could cost you in the legal space. So now's the time to drop those questions. Tony's coming back for upcoming episodes. And as always, you can reach out to Tony on his social media. Tony, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at The IP Professor. You can check out my entertainment law podcast called Scene. New episodes drop every Friday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Drop your questions down below, because Tony is coming back for upcoming episodes, and every single day we're helping you to navigate the world of entrepreneurship to make this your most profitable and most stress-free year ever. So we'll see you in the upcoming episodes.